Hey folks, today we have David Feinman and Zach Medina. They are co-founders of two companies, Viral Ideas and Flixation. Viral Ideas create well-crafted, challenging, creative video content, and Flixation is an on-demand video editing service. These two guys are close friends and have been for a number of years and started their entrepreneurial journey at a pretty early age. They have created a set of really interesting offerings, and they tell us a good bit about their journey and story. So I found it very valuable to talk to them, and I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Dave Albert. In this show, I talk about technology, building a company as a CTO and co-founder, and have guests to discuss their roles in technology and entrepreneurship. Today, we're joined by David Feinman and Zach Medina of Viral Ideas and Flixation. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks so much for having the two of us. We appreciate you having us on the show today.
Excited to be here.
Great. Can you give us a bit of detail about how your companies are structured and, how who is in which role in the companies that you're representing?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure we'll get into the whole story of how we met and kind of how we formed Viral Ideas. But when we started Viral Ideas, we didn't necessarily have appointed roles. And I still wouldn't say we do, but we gravitate towards the roles that we're really good at. So Dave's really good at the customer success side, as well as the sales end of our business. And then I'm more focused on the marketing and the operations side.
Okay, cool. So I saw in some of the materials on your site that you guys were close friends before getting into business together. Is that right?
Yeah. So Zach and I actually have known each other since the time we were probably about 16 years old. And at the time I owned a business doing basically concert production, and Zach owned a business doing Sweet 16s. And during one of the events, that Zach was having, he needed a DJ to fill in for him. And I basically filled in for him to help him out with DJing. And, I've been friends ever since then, and we started working together, in college, actually. More formally. And, as we were starting Viral Ideas, it actually started out as, a really simple relationship of us working on consulting contracts together. And we were both in college at the time. We both were just interested in making, a couple extra dollars. They had no idea that it would turn into a business. 5 years later, doing what we did, doing what we've done so far. And, it really, I always like to equate like our business partnership, starting off dating and then ultimately getting married and intertwined together through. So it's kind of grown in that way.
Well, that's pretty wild that you two were entrepreneurs back when you were 16, as in legitimate ones, it seems, beyond just failed misadventures that I myself had.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we would say necessarily all of them were successes, but it was definitely a trial and error for most of them.
No, what you mean.
What I could say is off most of them, both of us did end up making some money. So I think when anyone's setting out to do any business venture, you got to remember, business is out there to make some money. It's out there to do and solve a problem in the world. At the end of the day, in starting any of the businesses that we've ever started, including Viral Ideas, we've always started with some base of customer and some base of income coming in. And I think if I was looking back and saying, what makes what we're doing right now successful? Why has it grown organically, and why has it done this? In my head, it's done this because, we've taken the approach of, find that, product that we're going to deliver to the world, and, find a couple customers to start with, a couple people to pay you to get you going, and then evolve from there. Because with cash flow, you could do a lot, and you can really expand a company, versus, playing the whole debt game. So, I think that, looking back, starting several companies. It's been the biggest factor of, both starting out and longevity of companies.
That's great. Yeah. So onto that a bit. Can you tell us a bit about what Viral Ideas is?
Sure. So I'll tell you some interesting stuff. When we started, we kind of took the approach of building this company as a product. So that being that each individual part of the company became an evolution of the company. So when the company actually first started out as a consulting company. And as we began to consult companies, what we noticed is most of them needed a strategy in order to handle video and in order to build video campaigns that would be ultimately successful for them in creating revenue and creating business for their companies. So we ended up launching our first product for Viral Ideas, which was, video creation. And we began offering video creation services for companies, and we did videos for social media, for online, for television. And we really built the company to be this kind of nimble video creation machine. And, I'll tell a little bit of the story how Flixation came out. Flixation was essentially another product beat of Viral Ideas. One day we were sitting around and we were staring at, essentially just looking at our hard drives. We're just like looking at how many physical, pieces of data we had created in 4 years of running Viral Ideas. And anyone who knows anything about video production knows that it creates a lot of data. It's very heavy duty files.
Yeah.
We ended up going to one of our customers, and we noticed that they had this big bin filled with junk material, right? So like scrap metal, things of that nature. And we ended up kind of looking at the scrap material we had and the scrap material that they had. And we understood that this company actually sold that scrap material. And what ended up happening is we went to our customers and we're like, hey, you have all this really great footage that's just sitting on hard drives. Why don't you guys use that to your advantage and make some social clips and make something useful out of it? And that's what we did. And Zach can kind of pick up the Flixation story a little bit from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dave definitely explained like the Viral Ideas and Flixation style and how Flixation was born. But like when you look at Flixation, and look at like a manufacturer company, similar to what Dave said, is there's a lot of waste. So we basically don't want video footage to go to waste. So what we do is Flixation is like, they just send us their footage. They could be wherever in the world. They could film it themselves and they send it to us. And in like 5 days or less, we have a video edited for them. So it keeps everybody on their toes and it keeps you from wasting any video content that you may have, have sitting around on your hard drive.
Oh, cool. Okay. So do you come up with kind of editing it into a story as well, as well as the actual tactical piecing it together and the transitions and background music and all that? Or is it something that the client would have a bit of an idea of what they expect out of it?
Yeah. So we work with, one of our largest customer set is video production companies. Flixation does footage start to finish. So they'll actually give us a brief and help us understand what to do for Flixation projects. And we'll just edit it all together.
Yeah. And what's really great about like the Flixation, how we can apply this back to, maybe some listeners in here is when we originally started as a video production company, kind of like Dave said, we never thought it would turn into, a Flixation where we essentially can work from wherever and really accept footage from wherever. So what I really recommend is like looking within in your business model and seeing if there's any other products or product beats that could come out of your current business rather than just looking at it for what it is.
Yeah, that's a bit different than kind of what I thought the idea of Flixation was, and that's actually even more interesting than just the video editing service that my brief review of the site led me to think of. And that was my fault, not yours. So this is really interesting. I'm going to have to think harder on this, on how we at Medit might be able to take advantage of something like that.
Yeah, that's great.
So what was the idea behind, making Viral Ideas different from other types of media companies?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Viral Ideas does, just typical video production. But where we really stand out is where I would say is our customer service side of the business, where we're really big on just being able to get back to people. So we really believe in like upfront pricing. So for example, with Flixation, where we're moving forward to is, your pricing right away. People come to our site and they want to get a price almost instantaneously. Similar to like if you're ordering food or if you're ordering an Uber, you know where you want to go, you know what you want to get, and you want a price right here and now. The other aspect that we know too that works really well on the video production side is just being able to get back to people as soon as possible. So what we did is we basically included a live chat on our website. And Dave and I literally, monitor that aside from some other people of our team. And we're monitoring that 24 hours a day just to really be as responsive as possible. If anybody has any questions about their project or even just, a question about video in general, we're like always available for anybody that has any video related questions.
Nice. So, the idea of Viral Ideas, how do you go about making something viral?
So that's a really good question. So, I think I must have answered this question, a good 100 times at this point.
Sorry to make you repeat yourself.
It's all good. So I have a really good answer for it, and it's not the one that you would expect. So in any, primarily what we do at Viral Ideas and even with Flixation is create corporate videos. Each of those corporate videos has an intended audience, meaning, when you make a video for a company, they're going after a specific subset of customers that they're trying to reach. So that specific subset of customers that you have is your viral audience. So when you're structuring a video, you're structuring a video that subset of audience would want to watch.
Mm.
So, for example, we created, I'll distill it down to the most basic example that you may understand. So, we created a video for a company that was fundraising. And their audience was 3 or 4 investors. And the video was going to be shown to literally 3 people in the entire world. So the whole idea being that, their concept of going viral was just showing that video to 3 people. Whereas, the classic example of a Dollar Shave Club, it's every man that uses a razor.
Gotcha.
Totally wildly different audience with a wildly different story to tell. Their story that they told when in Dollar Shave Club was, one of, simplifying the whole process of using a razor, simplifying the whole brand experience, and that whole it being unnecessary for you to have a 17 blade razor and, all that. So that message resonated with guys who were spending a fortune every month using various razor blades.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That's there's a corollary to, Medit, where we are creating a mobile application to, curate the medical web for healthcare providers. And so we don't need millions of users. We need maybe even just tens of thousands of doctors, and other healthcare providers. So it's unique, and the numbers that are large numbers for us as opposed to direct to the general consumer. We're never, no matter what, going to have Facebook numbers because there aren't that many doctors. So knowing the audience is a really important element in this. And I see what you're saying there. So I like that, changing the idea of what viral means.
So to that point, like with your case, let's say there's 50,000 doctors in the US. I'm making up statistics. So
Sure.
You would create a video for those 50,000 people.
Yeah.
And then you might create a video for subsets of people. You might create one for, neurologists. You might create for, dermatologists. And I think I'm out of names of doctors that I can. So you see what I'm saying? So you're going to run those different pieces of creative. And the beauty of Facebook, the beauty of LinkedIn, the beauty of that targeting is you're going to be able to hit those people pretty spot on. And you could probably even, buy some additional data through various sources and really get that message out to them.
And to kind of tag off what Dave's saying is, when you're targeting on Facebook, especially with video ads, people are scrolling through so quickly. So just showing the ad one time or even twice may not actually get them to even, get their attention. Your ultimate goal is you want them to convert to whatever you want them to do. But maybe they saw your ad, it counted as a view or 2 views or 3 views. But in reality, they may need to be hit like 15 times before they ever actually go over to your website. So instead of, going off the whole going viral, and like you said, it's very internal with your subset of audience. So maybe you want to hit the doctors, 5, 10, 15 times as opposed to just hitting a general audience once and only seeing your video or your ad one time.
Mm. Yeah, no, I can actually, I've experienced that personally, as in seeing an ad, seeing it and seeing it and seeing it, and then finally giving in and going to look at the site. It was a relevant piece of content though. So obviously that's key.
Yeah, exactly. And we always, we're always talking to clients and we don't necessarily implement the strategies, but we definitely help with the formulation of the marketing strategy because there's definitely a marketing component behind every video and how you build it out. But for the most part, we always follow the awareness, consideration, decision model where, your first few ads are just to get people aware of who you are. And then they'll start considering. And then those will have a bit more personalized ads. They'll be a bit more narrowed to your audience. And then ultimately is the decision where they already know who you are. They've already considered your product or service. And now is just the time to get them over to your site and ultimately convert.
So, sorry, that was awareness, consideration, decision?
Yes. Awareness. So awareness, getting general awareness about your product or service. Consideration is, they already know who you are. Now they're starting to consider your product or service. And then ultimately is decision, which is where they're making the final decision on if they should go with you or your competitor. And that's really where, not to start spitting out too many examples, but, testimonials work really well in that decision phase because they just need to build that trust behind, we as marketers can say ultimately, unless you're in the medical field, of course, almost whatever you want. But when it comes to your clients, they really have the ultimate say on how the experience was working with you.
Interesting. Definitely noting that down. I have to look into that more after we finish up here. So other than targeting the right audience, what are some elements that are required for a good piece of video content?
Yeah, when creating a good piece of video content, the first thing you want to do before even saying, I want my video to go viral, I want it to do this, is really know where it's going to be distributed and know who the audience is going to be. So if you're distributing it on Facebook, for example, you should always keep in the consideration that people are really not listening to your videos. Assuming that they're ads and, promotional material. They're usually on the train, maybe in an Uber on the way to work, and they're quickly going through their pieces of content. So you need to capture them pretty quickly. And same with, framing it up the right way for Instagram stories. There's definitely different elements to really make sure your video is formulated in the right way, just on the sheer fact of where it's going to go. And then what would you say, Dave, as far as building out the videos, once you have an idea of what they, where the platform is, how do you develop a good strategy behind, developing the right video for the right audience?
So that kind of comes in to just understanding the actual physical customer and how that sale is made. So, if you're in a B2B business, how a sale is made. Talk to your sales team, talk to the people that are actually selling the product and understand how that conversion happens. What are those trigger words that get people to convert over, to something, to something that you're selling. And also, if it's not that, maybe take a customer story that you've heard anecdotally, maybe you're doing a mass consumer product, take a customer story and help understand what pain point you solve for an individual customer. Because if you did it for one person and that one person has a story to tell, that same story is probably applicable across many different customers within that same subset. So it's really about, I would say about amplifying what you already have in the business. Just kind of take hold of that strategy, writing your scripts based on that. It's a lot, you don't really want to get, you want to understand the data and the statistics behind it, but you also want to understand the psychology behind, why that person's buying from you in the first place.
And really to Dave's point too, as far as, content creation, something that we didn't mention is at Viral, our whole goal is just to make the whole creation of video easier. And we feel as though a lot of times people just complicate, video and video production. So if you really take a broad look at, if you're, a business and you're trying to sell your product or service and going back to awareness, consideration, decision, you really only need a few types of videos. And in the awareness stage is really, like we said, a promo video, a general about us video. And then in the consideration decision phase, this is where you simply just need to answer people's questions. So we always recommend literally going out to your clients, customers and whatnot and saying, hey, what questions do you have about my product, service, and what we offer? Because there's bound to have the same questions with other clients, and just create videos, tutorials, answering everybody's questions. And that'll really help them and really provide some value outside of just trying to sell them through a promo video.
Mm. So what would be the minimum type of equipment that would be useful for recording video that might be used within a piece of content that would be edited through Flixation that you think would be still impactful?
So I would say the minimum viable equipment package that you're looking at, if you're absolutely bare bones budget, startup, just getting started, want to get a small video out there, use your iPhone, decent, you make sure it's one of the newer models with a decent camera on it. Purchase a lavalier mic kit or an attachment mic kit for your actual phone, mm-hmm. and purchase a couple, simple lights to make sure the picture looks good. One thing I always tell people about lighting is, I'll have you guys do an experiment. If you're thinking about creating a video, switch off all the lights and shut the door of your bathroom and turn on your camera and see how much you see. And back on, see how much you actually see. So cameras see light. So, if you're able to light something pretty well and make it look good, you're already going to be doing a better job of everything.
So an iPhone with good lighting is going to beat a good DSLR that does video without good lighting, most likely.
That's kind of, I would say that's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, of course.
Someone that knows how to work a good DSLR better is going to do a better job without lighting than someone who knows how to work.
Gotcha.
So it's a little more to that, but just bare equipment wise to get you going, those three things are the bare simple essentials of what you need to just make something.
Cool. So back to you guys being friends before starting out. How has your friendship been impacted by working together so closely for it's been over 4 years now?
Well, I think we've known each other. What are you, 27 now?
Yeah.
So we've known each other for almost 10 years. Wow, that's actually crazy to think. We've known each other for almost 10 years, and we always talk about partnership and growing together. And similar to what Dave said, is it's like being married. And ironically, neither of us are married, so I don't know how we can make that statement.
We've said it a lot.
We've said it a lot. But in all seriousness, when you're forming a company, you have contracts. Dave and I basically from the beginning split everything down the middle, and we just really had to learn. I know it sounds simplistic, but to share, right? Dave may want to go left, I may want to go right, and at the end of the day, the business, you're in this together. So you have to make the decisions together. And where we always go back to as well is, your clients ultimately will suffer if there's a negative relationship between you and your business partner. So it's really important to know what you're getting into when you're starting a business, that, you don't just meet somebody off, at one time in a meetup. Ultimately, you would want to, like Dave said, is date them for a little bit. Get to know them. Don't jump right in. Go out to a few drinks, have coffee, work together on different projects.
Do a little project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Make a couple, even if it's a couple $100 together. Yeah. You can understand how relationships can, once money gets involved in anything, you really can understand a lot about a person.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand, even it's not going to get better when the numbers get bigger. Right? so Zach and I, our first project, how much was it?
It was like, no.
Was it a couple thousand? Was it $5,000?
I don't even remember.
I don't even remember.
It was great for a college student.
Right. It was a couple $1,000, right? Our first project together. We each made a couple $1,000 and we're like, okay, that was nice. Right. We did it again. Right. And then we did it again. And we're like, this kind of works. We kind of got this down right. And when money hits bank accounts, especially when money hits one bank account that the two of you own, it's a tough concept to really grasp, especially for someone who's new in business. Like, that's not your money. That's the company's money.
And you can start seeing, once you start running reports, this was always an interesting time, is, each month running the report and kind of seeing what we spent our money on. And you'll start seeing trends. I remember there was a time where I spent a lot of money on Starbucks and Dave spent a lot of money on Chipotle, probably way too much. And we decided as a company, it's best to invest that money into, a software or something more than just food. So it's little decisions that, it doesn't matter if it's $100 or $1,000 or tens of thousands of dollars or even more. At the end of the day, you want to start working together on a small scale, learn what you guys do best together, and learn if it's a right match. And ultimately that'll translate into your work and, producing something great for your clients.
Okay. What has surprised you the most, by starting Viral Ideas and Flixations? Now, I know you had some experience beforehand, but it seems that this is the largest scale of business that you have been in. Tell me if I'm wrong, though.
I would say what has surprised me the most is just the sheer length of time that it takes to get something going, but the sheer speed of time it takes for it to not exist anymore. Mm. What I mean by that is, it could take you 2 years to build a relationship with a customer, but it could take about 1 minute to destroy that relationship. So I think that's what surprised me most about building it. And I'm not saying that anything's for us has really ever gone horribly wrong, right? We've made our fair share of mistakes, throughout the whole process. But, it's just amazing to be like, after 5 years, we now have 5 years of business relationships and they're stronger than they were 1 year into business. So I think just that whole thing, we have people now who work for us for almost the entire duration of the business. So it's like that stuff takes time, as does building client relationships that last. And it's almost like a compound effect in a way, as long as you stay an honest business person.
Yeah. And what about you, Zach? What do you think was the most surprising?
I would say, I feel as though, us included, we can overcomplicate things in business. When you break it down, Dave and I both have mentors, and one of our most recent mentors basically said, well, you guys didn't create that problem, meaning this problem already exists, not just, in your business, it exists in other businesses. And sometimes we get too obsessed and think that our business is the only business that may have these certain problems. But when you take a bird's eye view and look out, all businesses have very similar problems. For example, it could be cash flow. It could be, a product problem. You can go on and on. But at the end of the day, just try not to overcomplicate it and look at it from more of a bird's eye view and just, simplify it so that you can solve the actual problem rather than making it way too complex and putting, way too much thought into it. That just makes it even worse.
Okay. The thing I like about this podcast the most is that I get to talk to interesting people who have interesting thoughts. But the problem is sometimes I get so interested in what they're saying, I forget to think about the next thing I should ask. It's such a great platform for learning from, really interesting, smart people like yourselves. So what would be one of the biggest problems that you guys are facing at the moment?
I would say we're right now we're facing a lot of classic growing problems that a lot of people have successfully solved before, but we're still new to them, so we're trying to figure it out. So
it seems like a big problem, but in reality, most people have gone through it and solved it.
So what I'll say about the problems that we're going through right now, and Zach and I kind of have a similar approach of looking at this kind of stuff of like, yes, this is a problem, but this is also an opportunity for us to grow as a business, So, tightening up our contracts has been one thing, just kind of learning some lessons through that. I would say staffing has been a big thing. Like as we've scaled, we need more and more people. So just understanding how that whole equation works and some, little trial and error there to get that formula right to make sure everyone's happy.
How big are you now?
We are a total of 12 people right now.
All in one location or multiple locations?
No, multiple locations. So we first started building the company, we wanted to build a virtual company. So our entire team is virtual. Whether someone works full-time for us or whether someone works part-time for us, we have people that we work with that we've never met in person, which is, I think, interesting to a lot of people who have been in business for years. We have some people like our bookkeeper, an accountant, we've only ever communicated with on the phone. I don't even know what he looks like.
Even though they were like one city over.
Yeah.
That's the irony.
The whole thing for us is, if we can create, as we scale, our biggest problem, what we're tackling now is creating processes, systems, and automation that allows the business to run smoothly, in a way that, doesn't, allows people to be put in, roles, versus, just kind of like a haphazard job. We like in having a system and having, building out a platform, it allows people to just tuck in and do what they do best. So that overall like living, breathing thing that we're working to create. Can't say it's quite there yet. Sometimes systems have cogs and they need a little grease in, and that's kind of where ours is at now. But we're growing, and that's kind of the problem we're tackling is how do you do that without you asked us how many people we have, but how do you do that without immediately going out and hiring 25 new people?
Yeah.
By maximizing everyone's time and making everyone that's on the team's job more meaningful.
Yeah. You always have to remember that you don't go faster when you start to hire. That there's an impact because, someone has to teach this person. So it's going to negatively impact your time. They're not up to speed. So things will slow down before they go faster. And one thing that we also do, we try to be remote as well. And in fact, about half our team work out of India. But we try to have at least a yearly meetup where we bring, it had been where the team in India was smaller. And so we would bring a couple of people over from India to Dublin, once a year. and have a week worth of meetings and some team building so that we, built stronger relationships. And it makes a big difference, in understanding people. And, when you're communicating mostly over Slack and video chat, when you've actually been in the room with the person and looked them in the eye and shaken their hand, there's a difference. And it's a shame that we haven't been able to bring a couple of other people there over yet, but we're still working on the next meetup. So I think definitely something you might want to consider. I know 37 Signals. No, that's what they formerly were. Now they're Basecamp.
Yeah.
Basecamp was always their product. They're also, fully remote company. And that's a big thing that they make sure they do regularly.
I think they also, Basecamp just went, just deleted their Facebook too.
Yeah.
Quote me. Like, pretty sure that was like something pretty stunning in the industry.
Yeah. They deleted Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias. I think they may have kept a few. Well, DHH, David Hannemeyer-Hansen. I think that's his name. The guy who created Ruby on Rails, one of the founders, the CTO. He's still got Twitter, but the company, I don't know if they've got Twitter anymore, but yeah, Facebook and Instagram are gone. But they also said that they didn't get any of their customers from those platforms. In fact, they did very little marketing until recently, where they've started pay per click advertising for the first time because they realized they weren't doing enough of that. So, they've got a great podcast. I think it's called Rework, like the book that they've released, that was their first book, I think. Their first published book.
Yeah, that book was awesome. It's one of my favorites. Easy read. Very interesting though, how they really build it up. I think they started out as basically an agency, or I think a website development shop. And eventually they started building that communication platform for just internal use. And then they methodically grew it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of tools like that, what kind of tools do you guys use? As you said, you're creating your processes. What do you use for communication and management of work processes?
Our main two are Slack and Monday.com.
Monday.com? I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, Monday.com. I mean, their whole goal, I believe, is to basically replace the spreadsheet. So what's really great about that is, given we have a team that's remote, and when we're managing most of the projects on our side, basically Monday.com has this unique feature where our team or anybody working the project can update the status. So it'll be red, yellow, green, purple, whatever the color is, and the actual, status that it's in. So is it in pre-production? Are they editing it? Are they on V2? Just so we as the company leaders understand where everything is at in the company. So yeah, Monday.com has really been a savior for us.
Interesting. There's so many tools out there that there's no way to have heard of all of them. What do you think is next for you guys? Like, as in for the next, 5-ish years.
5 years is a long time.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of look back and say, hey, 5 years ago we started Viral Ideas. But, for us, we're always going to continue innovating, always going to continue improving our business. So I don't know where that's going to take us, but I know that overarching, we're not going to stop doing that, and if we ever do, we don't deserve it. So, that's kind of our goal.
Okay. What do you wish you had known before you got started?
I wish I had known. I think maybe it's just myself, but I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs that I've talked to get into a very similar trap. And we think our idea is the best idea. and it's one of the only ideas out there, and it's so revolutionary or innovative that you'll create the product or service, whatever it may be, and everybody's just going to jump in. And although it very may well be one of the best products or services, it doesn't mean that people will care right away. So what I've learned is patience and longevity. So with Viral Ideas, although our service was great, our production was great, what we could do for clients was really great with the original clients we had, people didn't necessarily care right away, right? So it took us years, literally just years, past 4 or 5 years of us building out Viral Ideas for us to really be a name in the market and for people to truly care about us. And it's really important to continue that and to never stop. So, just the biggest thing I've learned that, like I said, is just understanding that your idea, I'm sure it is great, but you have to push through and really keep consistent for people to truly care.
Okay. Good stuff. Is there, actually, who are your perfect customers?
So it's a little different in Viral Ideas and Flixation.
Yeah.
So in Flixation, I would say our two perfect customers are an internal marketing team that has video content that they need edited, or a video production company. We also do quite a bit of work with agencies as well. I would say for Viral Ideas, our perfect customer, is that larger small business. I know small business is anything under $100 million, so it covers a lot. That really needs that kind of white glove smart solution for making their video. I wouldn't say we're the cheapest in the marketplace, definitely not the cheapest, but we're definitely the best valued in that. We're going to bring our experience of creating, thousands of videos to the table. And, make sure that, whatever we're creating is what the customer needs. So, that particular customer profile works really well for us. We really only work with companies and, and things of that nature, and small businesses, entrepreneurial ventures. So, for us, that's kind of where we sit.
Okay. Is there anything else on your guys' mind that we haven't covered?
No, I would say, for the one thing I always kind of, anyone starting out is, or, even the way through the process is don't stop reading. A lot of you, I was very flattered by the fact that you told Zach and I, we were having a conversation with a bunch of smart guys, but I'll say that Zach and I probably listen to podcasts on a daily basis. So, we're constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly reading articles, constantly trying to push our own minds to push what we know in the business. Yeah. So a lot of what we do is just kind of quite simply borrowed from a really, really smart person who wrote a book on a very specific topic.
Well, that's what most of knowledge is. That's why schools exist. But I totally agree. I'm always listening to podcast or audiobook or something. But my slight dyslexia makes reading a disaster. So do having 3 kids who are never quiet.
Yeah.
Anything else from you, Zach?
No, I think we summed it up pretty well.
All right, cool. Any call to action for the listeners?
Sure thing. I'll leave you with it simple. We have 2 websites that you can visit, check out what we're doing. viralideasmarketing.com and flixation.co. So feel free to check either one of those out. And, if you have any questions for us about anything we talked about today or just want to get in touch, we're pretty easy guys to find on the internet. So just, use that good old Google and give us a good Google, and then we'll pop right up and feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I'll put all the relevant links in the show notes. Is there a specific social platform that you frequent more often, like Twitter or LinkedIn, or just look for you on the internet?
For me, I'm more on LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram more personal, but
I gotcha.
I'll still answer there.
Cool. And use that.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely Google me. Definitely easy to find on the internet. But I would say Facebook and Instagram are my go-to platforms.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. I think it was useful, and I learned quite a few things.
I'm glad for that, Dave. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening. Until next time, remember, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.